A Gallup study found that most employees worldwide are emotionally disconnected from their work. But here's the disturbing part. Many of them don't leave. They stay physically present while psychologically withdrawing quietly over time. And in many cases, the collapse does not begin with salary, workload, or strategy. It begins with leadership people no longer respect. Here's the uncomfortable question. What if your team stopped respecting you months ago, but nobody told you? Because respect rarely disappears through dramatic rebellion. It usually dies silently, in smaller conversations, delayed responses, reduced initiative, emotional distance. People stop challenging you, not because they trust you, but because they no longer believe challenging you matters. Psychologists sometimes describe part of this dynamic through authority insecurity. Leaders who secretly fear losing control often overcompensate through micromanagement, over-explaining, emotional defensiveness, or constant correction. And ironically, the harder they try to protect authority, the faster respect quietly erodes underneath them. This is why some teams look functional from the outside while internally collapsing psychologically. Meetings continue, tasks get completed, metrics still move, but emotionally, people disengage. They stop caring deeply. And once emotional disengagement begins, performance usually declines slowly before collapsing suddenly. Look at companies where employees become afraid to speak honestly. At first, leaders interpret silence as alignment. But silence is not always trust. Sometimes silence is surrender. People stop offering ideas because they no longer believe the environment is psychologically safe enough for disagreement. The dangerous part is that insecure leadership often disguises itself as discipline. Excessive control feels responsible. Constant oversight feels productive. Endless approval layers feel organized. But underneath all of it is fear. Fear of mistakes, fear of losing relevance, fear of no longer being needed. And teams feel this immediately. Human beings are extremely sensitive to emotional inconsistency. If a leader constantly demands trust while behaving defensively, people notice. If a leader talks about empowerment while controlling every decision, people notice. Respect collapses when behavior contradicts language repeatedly over time. Steve Jobs was famously intense, but one reason strong leaders maintain influence is clarity. People can tolerate pressure more easily than unpredictability. What destroys trust fastest is emotional instability combined with authority. Teams begin protecting themselves instead of contributing openly. This is why many intelligent leaders become bottlenecks without realizing it. Every decision flows through them. Every problem requires their involvement. Every process depends on their approval. And eventually, the organization slows down, not because employees are weak, but because leadership became psychologically central to everything. The frightening part is that respect rarely disappears all at once. It decays gradually. First, enthusiasm disappears, then honesty disappears, then initiative disappears. Eventually, only compliance remains. And compliance without trust is one of the clearest warning signs of leadership failure. Ask yourself honestly, do people around you feel psychologically safe disagreeing with you? Or do they carefully calculate every interaction to avoid triggering defensiveness? Because fear can create obedience temporarily, but it almost never creates long-term respect. Ironically, truly respected leaders often appear calmer, simpler, and less controlling than insecure ones. They do not need constant validation of authority. They create systems, clarity, and trust that allow people to operate independently. That confidence feels stable, and stability creates respect. This is why some organizations quietly collapse despite strong strategy. Strategy cannot compensate forever for emotional distrust inside teams. Once people psychologically disconnect from leadership, execution weakens, even if the plans themselves remain intelligent. Your team may never directly tell you they stop respecting you. Most people avoid confrontation when trust is already damaged. They simply withdraw emotionally while remaining physically present. And by the time leadership notices, the culture is often already deteriorating underneath the surface. Your team stopped respecting you quietly. And if you mistake silence for loyalty, you may continue leading an organization that looks stable externally while slowly collapsing internally. If this made you rethink leadership and trust, leave a like and subscribe to 300 Seconds University for high-density insights in under 5 minutes.